a really smart guy. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name is Ben Steger, here to answer shooting questions. Today, Tim Herron is here.
Hey guys.
I couldn't get Matt Hopkins, so I got the next best shooter that'll talk to me. That's Mr. Mike Foley. Area 5 single stack champion. What?
Hell yeah.
Right? Mike, come on, talk yourself up.
Yeah, Area 5 single stack champion.
You don't give a shit. He's won so many matches he doesn't even care. And a guy who's never even seen a single stack, Gaston.
What is a single stack? That would be like a 1911?
Yeah.
I love you.
It's just like that.
that would be like an IPSC classic division, right?
Yes, a classic.
Okay.
Exactly.
And married dudes.
No, I've never seen one.
Single guys only.
Okay.
What did he say is for old guys?
Single
What
guys.
did Mike say?
Single stack.
It's like for retirement?
It's a bachelor's gun.
I'm not getting you. You said retirement, right?
Yeah.
The guy you retire with.
Loud and clear.
My audio is bad. Sorry.
All right. So here's the email I got, guys, and I think it will springboard us into a larger conversation about fucker stages and what those are. So he says, I just got back from Area 5, which Mr. Foley and I shot. Tim Herron and Gaston did not. So don't worry. If you didn't shoot it, I will describe the stage for you. I enjoyed the match, but wasn't a fan of the Dark House stage. I'm wondering what you guys think about stages like this at major matches. It seems to me they're testing a skill most of us have no ability to practice. That stage was a little more than point shooting in the dark, and it's probably no surprise that nearly 2/3 of the shooters had mics or no shoots on the stage. And then he says, any tips on how to prepare for these types of stages? So let me describe the stage for you guys. Mike, you're going to check me to make sure this is correct. And then we'll talk about whether or not you think this stage in particular is appropriate, and then we could talk about other stages like this that are difficult to prepare for. So the stage was very, very dark on the inside. Guys shooting iron sights could not, I would say you couldn't really effectively use your sights. After you fired a shot, you'd know where it went. So if you in the dark, you'd come up on a target and you'd aim at it or try to aim at it, couldn't really see what was happening, you pulled the trigger, and you'd be like, oh, that's a no-shoot I just hit or something, because you'd see the muzzle flash that would light up your sights, and you could tell where stuff had gone pretty well right after you fired it. The stage was mostly close range, I'd say 5 to 7 yards. There was maybe a little bit of stuff that was slightly further. 24 rounds. It had a swinger. It had a lot of partial targets, including one tuxedo with hard cover on both sides of it.
This is all in a dark house?
Yes, in a dark house.
Holy
Indoor range with the lights off, and they had a lot of little lights on, aimed different directions at the ceiling.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't total
Yeah.
darkness, but it was dark.
It was not. You could see the targets, but you couldn't really see your sights. Now, there's one other thing I should mention. They had a lamp there that you were allowed to use the lamp. The lamp started off, so you'd have to pick it up and turn it on. It was a big. It wasn't a flashlight. It was a big sort of unwieldy lamp thing. And with the scoring system being the way it is, and hit factor being what it is, nobody that I saw picked that thing up and used it. It seemed better to potentially eat penalties than try to use the big lamp thing, because you wouldn't be able to effectively reload holding it or anything like that. So, that was layout of the stage more or less. Does that sound right, Mike?
Yeah, that's dead up. That's what it was.
Okay. And the guy sending me the email says 2/3 of shooters got a penalty on it. I didn't check, but that sounds about right. A few guys on my squad if you guys who were good shooters got, more than one penalty on it. So there was quite a few penalties handed out on this stage. So I'll kick it to you, Gaston. Did you think at this stage in particular, does that sound appropriate to you to put into a major match?
It's maybe for our country it sounds dangerous. We wouldn't do that. Not because we are dangerous, but we take care a lot of the image that we have in the media, and we don't want an accident happening. And I don't know, it doesn't sound good. I remember when I shot the USPSA.
We're going to
production
talk about
nationals.
that stage, man.
That's-
Don't worry. We'll get to it.
That's what I was thinking about when I shot it. Ain't this dangerous?
All right.
I don't know, but let me just go to the sporting thing. I think everybody has to work on their skills. It doesn't matter. You cannot be ready for every stage that they're gonna build up for you to test your skills.
Gaston, you're going to get a minute to say all this, baby. Don't worry. I've got
Okay.
you covered. So you say fuck
Okay.
that stage. That's the Cliff's Notes.
Fuck that stage.
Yeah, okay. Mike.
So sorry for my vocabulary, Mr. Future President or
President
not.
of the
Well,
President
it's
to
the
be.
first time I've ever heard those words.
They didn't teach me that in high school. That was in the movies. Okay.
President-elect Mike Foley. Did you have a problem with that stage being in the match?
I didn't. It's not my first rodeo with that type of stage. The Illinois section had one in it some years ago. I've shot other matches with a stage like that in it. It was low light. It wasn't total darkness. It was a huge departure from the dark house at Nationals, in my opinion. You knew where all the targets were. You could see all the targets. You could see the scoring zones. When you press the trigger, you got a little flash, a little confirmation back from the sights. There was nothing dangerous about it because the backstop got all of the light. I mean, you knew your orientation the entire time. There was no 90 degrees. Everything struck the backstop. Totally safe, totally appropriate. I'm not going to say that it's for everyone or that everyone enjoys it, but I don't enjoy shooting weekend either, and we seem to do that occasionally. So.
Yes, that's also true. All right, Tim Heron, do you have as the stage was described, do you have a problem with it?
I wouldn't have a problem with it at all. I mean, at the end of the day, this is United States Practical Shooting Association, right? So, I mean...
So, yes, that's where you run through a dark shooting range and shoot 12 people.
Well, absolutely.
Okay.
No, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's a test of skills, and shooting in very low light or no light. No light, obviously, using a lamp or a flashlight or things like that is I mean, to me, that's another skill set you got to have and got to work on. So.
The lantern was useless. Nobody with any talent would have taken it with them.
Yeah, I
but it
pointed
sounds
out
like it was low light, not a complete black, dark environment. So.
All right.
What I envisioned there was the lantern actually ruining the vision that I tried, 5 or 6 shooters ahead of me. I tried to protect my night vision in there a little bit, but there was enough light in the room to where you really didn't get the total effect of having your dark vision, if you will. Is that a term, dark vision, where your eyes adjust to the darkness? But
yeah.
But the lantern to me seemed like a sucker bet. If you turn that on, you were probably more likely to blind yourself with it than to illuminate targets with it. It was a fluorescent Coleman lantern, battery-powered bulb lantern, really kind of a huge, looked like a gallon jug, perhaps. It was that big.
Wow.
All right. So, Tim, why would you think 2/3 of people got penalties on this thing?
Probably because they don't know how to
aim without using their sights or something.
I wouldn't say aim without using their sights. Probably like shooting in low light. I mean, I know the very first time I ever shot at a low light, like an extremely low light stage in a dark house, it was new to me. I mean, I didn't know anything about like closing your eyes a few minutes ahead of time to try to dilate your eyes enough to where you can kind of see a little bit better, and kind of what to look at versus, trying to just read the sights or register the sights only. So, I mean, it is a skill set that's something that probably should be practiced or worked on.
Okay, so that's addressing this one stage in particular. I shot the stage. I didn't have a problem with the stage being in the match, but I understand a guy being frustrated with this. So let's look at this from the angle of this guy went to this match and he like shoots the stage and it's like gets some penalties on it, I would guess. A bunch of people getting penalties, and it's like, why are we shooting this dumbass dark house thing with partial targets all over the place? I mean, that would be his frustration, or what he's thinking. Does that sound about right, Tim?
I could think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Mike, you were there. Did you kind of get a sense for any of that?
No one on my squad complained. The guys on my squad that shot penalties in there, it wasn't their only penalties for the match.
No, that's true.
I managed to survive penalty free, and my time wasn't as fast as yours, Ben, but I had to reload every 8 rounds. So
I did 3 reloads in there as well. So I wanted to.
Life's hard.
Yeah, I wanted to keep even with you. I was like, Mike will be tearing me up if I don't do enough reloads in here. Okay, so the larger question here is, should there be things in matches, and I'm sure I know what all you guys are going to say, should there be stages in matches for people that are difficult to prepare for? And then, or maybe impossible for some people. So, I mean, like, not everybody has access to 50-yard bay. Obviously, not all of us have a dark house that we can go practice in, and right on down. Maybe there's really weird moving target contraptions. So I think the big question here is that stuff appropriate to put into matches? And if so, how do you do it? Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, totally appropriate. How do you prepare for it? Well, I think that fundamentals are fundamentals, and keeping your nerves in check are keeping your nerves in check. And I don't think that if we get used to only solving certain problems, that we're really testing ourselves. And the guys who run up against this again will remember what that was like. And so, it's you build on these experiences over time. And so, if you want something that you can practice, I guess shoot the IDPA classifier over and over. But how much fun would that be? It's, and I'm probably throwing too much opinion in here on this, but
no, I'm asking for your opinion, Mike. You get to go crazy with it.
Oh, wow, first time in months.
Go ahead, please.
Well, yeah. So, how do you prepare for it? Well, it gets dark every night somewhere. I do some of my best work in the dark.
Oh shit. Yeah. I'll have something to say about this. I understand the guy's frustration with this, and I think it's a really fine line on stages. I was like, so if I'm going to have a dark house stage, all of us shot production nationals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I put up a production national style dark house stage where all the targets are pretty close, and you get a flashlight that you can actually use, and that sort of stuff, I don't think anybody would shoot that stage and feel like they got fucked over, on any level. It's kind of like, yeah, we're going to do low light shooting, and it's a different sort of challenge, but nobody's going to feel like they got fucked. If you set up a stage like this where it's partialed off and you're not going to, in a practical sense, you don't have access to a flashlight. I mean, you really don't. You're just going to have to go through the stage without any additional light. You can see the target's positions, and you just got to figure it out with your sights. I can see why people would get frustrated with that, with the way that stage was set up. Mike, so let's say they had upper A zone only with a no-shoot underneath. So like half a headshot with a no-shoot up on the bottom, and they want to put it 8 or 10 yards on that stage. Would you then, if it was at that point, you'd say that that's stupid, or would you say, no, that's a legitimate challenge?
We would certainly see more penalties and more shooters with penalties.
Oh, well, of course, but two-thirds of the match got him as it was.
To me, my opinion of a good stage is one where everyone finishes with a positive score, and the difference between the guy who shoots 3% and the guy who shoots 100% is based on the trouble he stays out of, how well he shoots it, his points, and his speed. If 30 or 40% of the shooters zero a stage, I consider that to be a bad stage. I didn't look at those statistics. I have no idea how many people zeroed that stage.
I don't think many.
Yeah, not many. I think almost everyone had a positive score there. And Wasn't there a no shoot in that first room where the
Yes.
swinger was?
Yeah, there was.
Right.
So, well, but what I'm saying here is, you maybe this stage in particular didn't cross some line for you, but you can envision a scenario that would, where it'd be like, okay, that's stupid. Let's back that off.
Well, at PASA, where they have that Surefire Dark House, having shot at PASA nearly every year for a very long time, I've seen strobes in there. I've seen no shoots and shoots next to one another where you really almost could tell with a full target to full target what the color was. I've seen red lights flashing in there. I mean, just about anything you can imagine doing to throw the shooter perception off, I've seen. And I hear a lot more complaints about that stage at Nationals than I heard about this one at Area 5, but maybe it's just the squad that I was on.
No, I don't know. It's just it's this guy's frustrated. And I mean, I certainly understand that. I was just like,
If this was one of his first times ever shooting a dark house, though, I could understand frustration. I mean,
Yeah.
nobody wants to go to a major and then feel like, they're taught something that they don't know how to even remotely do. But at the same time, yeah, I think that's part of the challenge. I mean,
yeah, that's
if
part of
every
what makes it
stage-
fun, right? Is it's going to be something
Absolutely, exactly, yeah. I mean, I prefer to go to matches that have stages where there's a colorful array of different challenges. Some good,
I think it's
some,
a personality type issue, with stages like that because, let's face it, you get roughly 3 subsets of people. You have people who want to practice the same skill over and over and then apply it to perfection. Or then you have the shooters who are just there to have fun, and everything that's new and weird and crazy excites them and they enjoy it even if they shoot poorly. And then there's the third group, I would put myself in this group where I see the challenge and I have 5 minutes to solve it, or I saw it the day before if I came and walked stages or whatever, and I acclimate to it, figure out what I'm going to do, maybe practice it in my hotel room, certainly in the walkthrough, turn my back to it and really embrace what I'm going to do, and then just stand up there and do it. Solving the problems in that particular room, to me, we're breaking it down into small stages and still getting your footwork right. Which targets to come in hot on, which targets to set yourself up a reference point for, like the tuxedo in the corner was likely the hardest target in there. It was the darkest and most angular target of the whole stage, and if you didn't have your footwork right, you actually couldn't see the scoring zones. It's just a preparation issue for me, and whether I get the 5-minute walkthrough or the day before, that opportunity is the same for everybody. I mean, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. If you want to practice that at home, I guess were those stages up at all? Was there any awareness of the stage ahead of time? I didn't look at the stages online because they're seldom the same on the ground.
Yeah, I imagine they posted that it would be a dark house, but I mean, what that means is, and when somebody says they're having a dark house, who the hell knows what that means, right?
Right.
I mean, it could be a lot of different things. Gaston, what did you think of the dark house at Nationals that you shot?
I think that one was okay. What I don't think it's okay that's when they mix challenges. Like, for example, being in the dark with a moving target, with a no shoot, with faraway targets. That doesn't sound cool. But when you have some challenge like shooting in the dark with no other challenge mixed, like we had in the USPSA Nationals, I think that's okay. I don't know what you think about that, guys.
Okay, well, here's an interesting question for you. I mean, I think to avoid shooters getting pissed off and feeling done in, I think how you construct the stage and tailor the difficulty, I think it matters a lot. So, for example, I'm going to put this to you, Tim.
Okay.
For example, if we want to test somebody's longer distance shooting skills, we could do a few different things. We could throw in a few really long targets on a field course. we could have a standard stage like they had at Nationals, or we could have a different sort of stage, maybe a Virginia count, so you can't fire extra shots. We're going to put the targets 40 yards away, and you're going to shoot 2 on each target, and that's it, no extra shots. The one that they had at Nationals was fixed time, so just maybe you couldn't get all the shots off, but whatever you got on the target that counted, and nobody except for Gaston, I should say, got any penalties on it, right?
I got some issues there.
Yeah. So which way would you like to do it, and which way do you think people would be less pissed off about? You see what I'm getting at, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think fixed time standards or something like that would be, which honestly, is, for all intents and purposes, is going to be the same thing as like a Virginia count, anyhow.
No.
Well, fixed time is similar to Virginia count in that you only are allowed a certain number of shots in a certain time frame, right?
Well, you don't get your dick smashed with penalties.
Well, that's true. Probably fixed time standards, honestly, would be probably the way to go.
Well, you see what I'm saying, right? So it's like how we construct the way people get their skills tested is I mean, that changes how much people enjoy the stage, right?
Right, yeah. That could be, and just in the 3 ways that you described are 3 different ways to kind of achieve the same thing, but get their completely different directions. So one would be like, okay, that's acceptable, and the other one's like, who the fuck invented this shit?
Well, I mean, were you on the other day when we talked about? Yeah, you were there when we had the stage where it's like 80% of the people in the match zeroed this stage or something, like some crazy number zeroed it. That was a Virginia count 50-yard standard stage, right? So had that just been scored fixed time, it would have changed the game quite a lot, right? People wouldn't have been zeroing the stage. It would have gotten something and like, oh, okay, that was really hard. Something like that. It changes the way it goes for people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Mike, I'll put this to you. So on this Dark House stage, do you think it would have made the stage better or more interesting or something if instead of a lantern you had a flashlight that you could actually carry and use?
I think that it would allow for less bitching by people who said they literally couldn't see in there, but I still don't see where it changes.
It wouldn't. You wouldn't shoot the stage any differently, would you?
With a flashlight?
No. I bet if this flashlight was laying on a table and it was like, all right, you can pick that up and use it if you want, I bet you wouldn't have picked it up, right?
No, because that was a lot of unnecessary movement and a boat anchor to drag with you while doing 4 reloads. And yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that being a part. If it were mandatory, obviously you have to deal with that. But being optional, I never considered it. There were people on my squad who would turn the switch on that lantern and see if they could leave it behind. They talked about taking it. The only stipulation in the walkthrough that I remember is you couldn't throw it.
Yeah.
So you could carry it around or leave it on the table or whatever.
Let me see it. For that stage in particular, if there's a prop like that lantern, I don't think any of the top guys in the match used that fucking thing, did they? I mean, so giving shooters an option or giving them a choice that is a stupid choice is really no choice at all, right?
That's the trap. That lantern was a trap.
Okay, but let's say if we turn it into a flashlight that you can actually carry with you, a regular, sort of tactical-ish flashlight, you could pick it up and use it and reload. It'd be difficult to reload, but you could pick it up and use it. That would that make it a better stage in your opinion?
At that point, you have an option. I'm reminded there of other decisions that have to be made in the match. And you and I looked at a stage, the U stage, that had the turtles all the way forward, and we talked about whether we were going to go forward or not. And you had 10 rounds, and so you were going to go forward and shoot those targets and the one to the right. With 8 rounds, I stood at the back fault line and shot them the entire distance of the stage. And that was a choice that I made based on having something else to mitigate, and that is the fact that I only had 9 rounds in my gun. And so instead of shooting it that way, I shot a longer position to be able to do my reload and shoot in a different position. So if the flashlight's there, I see it no different as the way you and I broke that stage down differently. Some guy who sees well in the dark shoots in the dark. Somebody like me or you who's comfortable with that distraction and the shooting is not going to use it. However, someone who shoots at a different level and is trying to compete within their level, who feels like it would aid them to take the light with them, obviously could run a handheld flashlight much better than that lantern, and so therefore it becomes an option for them. But
you see what I'm driving at here. Like the larger principle is, if you design a stage, so we're going to test your dark shooting in the dark, right? But then we're going to design it in such a way so that you're going to have some choices, and guys aren't going to really feel like they got fucked over, right?
Right.
I think that's kind of the bigger issue here, not just dark house stage. Gaston, listening to this, do you ever see stages that you're just like, man, that's a fucker stage. I hate that stage. You go to a lot of matches.
Yes, what I previously said is like when you mix too many challenges in just one stage, that's not cool. I remember one big guy from the IPSC, when we made the Latin American, he was giving advices about the stages, and when he see any stage that has like a lot of difficulties, then he will like if you had a lot of no shoots with like more than 25 yards, he would put them like 15 yards and expose a little bit more the alpha, and that sounds fair because the top guys are going to get their difference between each other, but the guys that are not top guys, they're not going to zero the stage, okay? Or like mixing Virginia counts with very long distance and very hard targets. That's like,
you don't like that.
I don't think that's right. No.
So you want how? Well, I should ask you this way: How do you know where to draw the line? How do you know what's too hard or
Like for example, too hard, far away moving target with a no shoot on it. That's off the limits. Okay, remember we had that at the Euro Extreme Open.
Yeah, you didn't like
that. Every top guy had a no shoot. And the guy who got lucky, he won the stage. But we all know that was only being lucky, because it was nearly impossible not to hit the no shoot. So I don't like when luck gets so much in the way. So you can have a moving target with a no shoot, but no more than 10 yards. Okay, if a moving target is already at 25 yards, that's already a challenge. No need to put a no shoot in it.
All right, Tim, Heron, what do you think about that? About how to figure out? I mean, the idea is like, how do we figure out how to construct stages so people? So it's I guess Gaston's using the word fair, so it's a fair challenge.
Yeah, I don't know. Listening to Gaston talk about it, I kind of agree with that a little bit. I mean, there's one thing to make a challenge. There's another thing to make it literally damn near impossible. To where the guy that wins the stage is solely based on luck or some other thing that's not skill based. It was just like, hey, cool, I poked 2 holes in it blindly, closing my eyes, and just took a guess. That's not right. I mean, it should, at the end of the day, it should be skill that wins.
Yes. Skill that wins. Well, I mean, Gaston's using the word fair, but I'm not. I mean, it is the same challenge for everyone. It is fair.
No, it's not the same. You can put it like this: if a stage is too hard for a real top shooter, maybe like you, to run it 5 times flawlessly, then I think that's an unfair stage. If a grandmaster can put can shoot 5 times in a row a clean stage, then that stage you need a little bit of luck to go through it. I don't know if you understand. No, I don't mean like going full throttle, but like having Ben, for example, shoot it 5 times, not at full throttle, but at control cruise and having no penalties. If he can do that, then it's not a first stage, because it's gonna be like you're gonna need a lot of luck.
I agree with that. I agree with that completely. Ben, you and I talked about that regarding that other podcast we did about that
Yes.
Virginia count stage. You know, I mean,
Yes.
if you seriously can't, like, taking all the time necessary to just make clean hits with no time limit, that stage probably doesn't belong in a major match, or doesn't belong in any match.
Exactly. That's right. In any match, if you can, if it's not about time, then it's not okay. If you're not gonna, if you're not gonna screw because you're shooting off the limits, then it's not okay. It's like having
My,
a car race with an impossible track. Okay.
all right, Mike. When you listen to these guys talk, do you think they're a bunch of Nancy's, or are they talking sense to you?
You know, I hear what they're saying. You know, if you think about the Area 5 Championship, there were 14 stages, and they were all fun, and each one of them tested a different skill. You know, we shot some Virginia count, strong hand weak hand there. We had stages where there were 4 or 5 activated targets on the stage. We shot hard shots. We shot some up close blaster shots. Each stage had its own skill that it tested. And if we say, okay, well, because some people don't like shooting in the dark, what's the next move? Are we going to say, okay, well, we're going to take running out because that's not fair to fat old guys like me? And, you know, and then I hear Tim talk about if luck plays into it, and I'm sitting here somewhat disheartened because I've based my whole shooting career on that.
uh, no, Mike. I can't think of any. I can't think of any stage like at that match, or I can't. I haven't shot many stages this year. I would just say, all right, fuck that stage. That stage shouldn't be in a match. All right, but there's a lot of people listen to this. Some people go to different clubs where maybe they do set up some stuff that's crazy, right? Have you shot any stages where you're just like Mike Foley does not approve? President Foley does approve.
I'm certain over the years that I've seen things that I didn't think gave each shooter the same presentation. And so, if we're going to say F that noise, that's the one that I don't like. That's where the props don't behave the same for everybody.
Ports are too high for short guys. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Tim, if you decide to shoot single stack in Indiana, I'm going to go up and help them set all the height on all of those walls, and all those props, and all those ports, and we'll.
Mike, you don't need the help of high ports to beat Tim, do you?
Not always.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh man.
I love Tim. I want the display for that to be the same for Tim as it is for me, because then we really get to shoot with one another and against one another and help one another in the time and the points and what we put into it. But the variety of the stages actually can't always cater to the skills that we like, or the skills that we've practiced, or the skills that we've encountered before, or else we would just be shooting El Prez all the time. And, I think that we've moved way past the days of the guys on Enos in the pissing contest trying to get the 3-second El Prez done. I think that a stage like Area 5 is supposed to be hard comparatively to a Hoser Club match. I think it was a fun, solid, presentation. Have I seen them over the years that I think were horrible? Yes, but I tend to kind of put that behind me and learn from it. And if something in a match bothers you more than everyone else, then it's probably you that you need to work on, and not try to get those types of stages shunned or banned or what have you.
Okay. I got one more thing to say, then I'll let you guys wrap it up. I get where this guy's coming from, complaining about the dark stage. I get it. I didn't really have a problem with it, but I understand the complaint. I think people should be really careful when they're building matches. So it's like, hey, we're going to test your skills, but we don't. I mean, people walk away with a bad taste in their mouth, like, oh, that stage was stupid or hard or whatever, like, or too hard. That's not a good thing. So constructing a stage where, knowing right where the line is, which is always a hard thing to do before you shoot the stage. Before you set it up and have people go through it, it's hard to figure out where the line is, but that's something that, can always work on setting it up better. From a competitor preparation perspective, I think my big attraction to IPSC or to USPSA is that it's always something a little bit different. And I really enjoy seeing a stage that's something a little different, or it's a different twist on stuff that I've already done. And I need to really get my brain engaged with that stage and come up with a plan for it. I really like that stuff. And shooting the Dark House stage there in particular, it was like an opportunity to like do something a little different. And my approach there was totally different than any other stage of the match, where it's like I'm not going to be able to see my sights that well, so I'm just going to roll with it, and I'll be ready to shoot a lot of extra shots if I have to. So, let's do it. Let's do this. And I had I felt like I was improvising a lot while I was shooting that stage, and I thought that was a good feeling. So I don't want to take that away. I like that stuff. Okay, that's my rant. Gaston, you got anything else to say about this dumbass topic? You're just like, whatever.
No, I agree. You just work on your fundamentals, and if you're better than the other guy, you're just gonna beat him in the Dark House or faraway targets or even Virginias. Okay, I'm training for that.
You're training for that. Mike Foley, anything else to say about this?
No, I mean, I think we've pretty much beaten this horse.
Yeah, you beat it to death. Tim, I assume you have nothing else to say about this.
Nope, I'm good.
All right, cool. That's going to do it for us today. Gaston, where can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Oh, maybe at my fan page at Facebook. That will be like www.facebook.com/GQVIPSC. We still have Facebook in Argentina. I don't know what you guys use now.
All right. If you want to get in touch with Mike Foley, email president@uspsa.org.
Yeah, baby.
Very shortly, I imagine. That's what we'll be emailing. To get in touch with Tim Heron, go to hopkinsshooting.com. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, head over to bensteiger.com. Send me an email. I'd love to answer your shooting questions for you. So send them to us, and we'll talk about them.